Hello everyone, Scottish Railway Productions here, and today I want to let you know about the interesting history of the Scottish Railway series as we know it, how it started, what gave me the inspiration, and where we are now. I hope you enjoy. Our story starts right here on YouTube when I sat down to watch Simon A.C. Martin, formerly Simierski on YouTube's British Railway series. I struggled through the first couple episodes as I wasn't enjoying it, but once I got through, I really loved it, and now I go back and watch the series on an almost regular basis because I love it that much. The characters, the stories, everything just seemed to be right with this series. It was like a much better version of Thomas the Tank Engine, which I later found out is exactly what he was going for. This series gave me the inspiration to make my own, except not set on the LNER. Mine would be set on a Scottish railway that I had made up that took in engines from every single region. But the series that you watch on YouTube now was not the first incarnation. Not even the first one that I uploaded on this channel was the first incarnation. There was one more before that I shall show you now. This is the original introduction to the series. Now I cannot play the music for copyright reasons, as it used How the Moon Must Feel that I found on the Thomas and the Magic Railroad soundtrack. Now, as you may have just seen, we had three characters. We had Hunter, we had Brendan, and then we had Mitchell. These were the original three characters that I came up with, including the names. This version of the series used the music, whistles, noises, and influence to the storytelling of Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends, as you can tell by the yellow font that I used here. This episode was the first, and then we had a second episode where the Flying Scotsman would join the crew. The characters would all fulfill a certain role that I felt that they should. Brendan was going to be like the wise old engine, Mitchell was going to be the cheeky youngster, and then Hunter would have been kind of the every engine, where he just did whatever he was told and that was that, similar to Edward from Thomas the Tank Engine. After feeling dissatisfied with the way the series came out, I decided to scrap it and start anew. As you can probably tell, that was the introduction to the next version of the series that we would see. The engines still didn't have faces, and we still kept the same four characters: Hunter, Brendan, Mitchell, and Scott. Although this time, Scott would be in the series from episode 1. The other engines would save him from just sitting in a siding and being scrapped. They would give him the parts that he needed and bring him back to full working order. Now, as you can tell, the engines still don't have faces. That only came in the recent incarnation of the series that I decided to make faces for the engines. But I was making little digital faces for the thumbnails, although these faces would never appear within the episodes themselves. Because filming took a long time, I would only film one episode within about a day. Then I would take the set down, and then I would have to rebuild a new set. That is why in these versions of the episodes, the set changes between the episodes, because I never go back and recreate what I had originally. But now, in the recent form of the series, I now have a consistent shed/yard, and everything else is just kind of made on a whim. This version of the series that we're looking at now would have 3 episodes: An Old Engine Restored, Dougie the Shunter, and Prototype. Dougie the Shunter would introduce the pannier tank Dougie, who I have kept in the series in the new incarnation. And Prototype would introduce the first Diesel character. Really, I wanted to keep this off until later. That is why in the new series we have not seen a Diesel character yet, but we will be seeing one fairly soon. After then also being dissatisfied with this version of the series, as I thought it wasn't quite good enough and up to standard, I decided to keep it on my channel, but make it private, so that no one else could view it but myself. It's almost like a little archive of footage of I still have it. But I'm much prouder of the new version of the series. I much prefer the characters that we have, and everything else about it. The final and current incarnation of the series would have a massive overhaul, as with the introduction of the faces for the characters. Now, these faces were made using 2p coins and also 10p coins. There were a few other things as well to make the smaller faces, but that's pretty much what it was. I increased the starting number of engines from 3 to 5. This was to allow for a more diverse range of engines and cast, because in this episode I had help from a voice actor that I had worked with prior to making this version of the series. And I currently want to thank the Sudrine Zero for voicing Logan in every episode so far, and will continue to voice him in the future. I also want to prematurely thank the user Cameron Cousin for voicing a new character that will appear in episode 5, but he will not voice him until episode 6. Scott and Dougie remained the same as their versions in the previous series. Meanwhile, I introduced 3 other characters. We had Sir Campbell, we had Archibald, and I changed Hunter to Logan. Logan also went through a slight personality shift, but that's pretty much it. Archibald and Sir Campbell are meant to be the kind of stuck-up characters of the series, but they're stuck up in different ways. By episode 2, some of the faces, and by some I mean most, had gone through a slight redesign, as I wasn't happy with the eyes or even at times the noses. I was also not happy with the shape of Archibald's face in the first episode. I didn't want Archibald to have a circular face like the rest. I wanted Archibald's face to be square, and that's what I did. I also coloured in the pupils of the engines black, because I felt that having pupils and then having an iris just wasn't working for the series, and it made them look beady-eyed. The yard in the series went through another redesign, but stays the same for the next few episodes, up until episode 5. Once episode 6 comes out, the yard will have changed again. This is to simply allow the models to stop cutting out on the points, because in the previous set there were way too many points for some of the characters to get over. I would like to thank you for watching this video, so as a special treat I'm going to give you a slight sneak preview of episode 5 of the Scottish Railway series. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time. This story also takes place in 1950. Logan was sent back to the yard and Scott was requested for heavier freight work the company needed to move. I agreed to this arrangement, but then found myself with a bit of an engine problem. I no longer had an engine for stopping trains. I decided to try out a Peppercorn A1 class. His name was Oscar, and he was newly built, fresh off the assembly line. Sir Campbell was as judgmental as ever of the new engine.